Hello, welcome back. Chapter 17. So we're in part 2, dealing with woman. Chapter 17, praise her. The masculine grows by challenge, but the feminine grows by praise. A man must be unabashed and expressed in his appreciation for his woman. Praise her freely. As a woman, obviously I really like this paragraph, or sorry, this chapter. And I want to show it to all the guys and be like, yeah, give me all the praise. I love praise. But when giving someone advice, I think it's important to try and embody that advice for yourself, just to see how it feels like and understand the difficulty. And I think it's the best way to be able to influence others, which is to embody your own advice that you would give to others. So trying to implement this last night, trying to give praise, it was only then I realized how difficult it is to really give praise. And definitely this would be a trait of the superior man. And I'm not just talking about superficial praise. Superficial praise is, easier, but it's like that deep, genuine praise that could really open and bloom a woman. That is difficult. When I was practicing yesterday, I found it very hard to connect with that deep place of appreciation. It took me, I had to like close my eyes for a couple of seconds and kind of connect and see what do I appreciate about this person. And then in order to truly appreciate someone, you have to accept them and you have to see deeper than their surface and see who they truly are and what they're made of. And it's not an easy practice, but definitely a worthwhile. Let's see any other notes here. Oh yes, yeah. Uh, my other notes was that when I did try initially, my praise came off. It felt empty or hollow, had a bit of a condescending or sarcastic air to it. So this is a trait that I think will require practice and one that I will definitely keep trying to do. Part of it, maybe it's related to, growing up in Asian culture. Praise isn't really something used a lot in Asian culture, whereas criticism is used a lot. So that's something that might be affecting how easy I find it is to give praise as well. Men grow by challenge. As a boy, other boys would challenge you in order to inspire you. I bet you can't jump over that fence. In a place like boot camp, you are told you are a worthless slime dog. And this kind of insult challenges you to be your best. So, as a man, you probably have a masculine habit of challenging people, including your woman, in order to get her to improve or grow. Why, hello there. Nice of you to join us. Any comments you'd like to add from our praise exercise yesterday?
It is very tough to praise. It's kind of like, who was it, Gandhi talked about be the change you wish to see in the world. My breath bad.
No, I just don't know how this is going to show up.
Okay.
Let me just see how, just to make sure we both look pretty. Okay, cool.
Um, and he talked to, like, one example was that white mother asked him to tell her son to stop eating sugar, and she's like, he basically told her come back in a week, and then he's like, stop eating sugar, and she's like, why didn't you just tell him the last time? And it's like, well, a week ago I was still eating sugar, and it's like that's a good one.
Yeah.
And then what you're talking about with praising women, I had a friend who was president of a sorority, and she told me a story about how their sorority household was a mess. Like, you mean, just nobody was doing a good job of taking care of it and cleaning and stuff like that. And you mean what she could have done is got angry and frustrated and yell at all the different members and blah blah blah. But she knew from experience that doesn't work with women. And so what she did is she just started praising people. She just said, like, talked about how clean the house was and how the people were doing a really good job cleaning it, even when it wasn't true. And within like 4 weeks, all of the praise that she had given out that wasn't true at the time now became true. And it was fascinating for me to hear this because I could see how effective it was, but it wasn't something I was naturally very good at. So it's a very interesting idea of, like, you basically, with women, you want to praise the traits you want to bring out. And I think maybe one of the areas I am good at it is actually from like the blowjob course, is that they basically talked about one of the ideas in there was to basically just flatter your woman, like praise her as much as you possibly can. Just tell her she has sexy lips, tell her, it feels so good, all this kind of stuff. Because what you're trying to do is create enthusiasm and excitement. And enthusiasm is probably the biggest part of what makes a great blowjob. And so it's like, it's a very hard skill to learn, but I think it'd be very powerful, in particular with women, to develop that skill.
Hmm. Yeah. Like from a woman's perspective, like the right praise, like kind of like that praise with genuine depth behind it, it can open and melt her in, the span of a few seconds from where she was feeling icy before. It has potential to be very, very powerful. Only the masculine side of your woman will grow through challenge. The feminine side thrives on support and praise. Telling her, I love the shape of your body, will be much greater incentive for her to exercise than telling her, I hope you don't gain any more weight. So this reminds me of last night where we were trying that praise exercise. And then one of the appreciation that you gave me was, I appreciate how good of a manager I am for your company. Whereas before, you know, you kind of suggest, you may not explicitly say, like, you're slacking off on your duties. And it's very different, right? When I receive that appreciation, it makes me want to work harder for the company rather than when I receive that criticism, even though I was slacking off. Um, it makes me even more likely to slack off more. Praise always magnifies the quality of your woman that you praise. You're so beautiful when you smile is much more effective than you're so ugly when you frown, although they both indicate your desire for her smile. When speaking to your woman, it is always better to call the glass half full than half empty.
One of the things I think with that is it's very tough. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it'd be good to think through what are the qualities you want in your woman, to articulate them, to write them out, and then to figure out how can I praise this. Because ever since I took that blowjob course, it's like getting blowjobs was never an issue after that. It was just like super easy. But it's like the principles in that course I feel like could be used for, because I basically looked at it as like training your girlfriend to love to give head. But it's like you could use all those principles for anything. Like cleaning the kitchen, calling back leads, giving foot massages, whatever it is. If you were very intentional about it, you could kind of cultivate exactly the woman you're looking for, which is a very interesting idea.
Praise is a very powerful tool. Um, but it's not easy. And I know how it feels, right? Because like we call the glass half full. Because like when I spend time with someone and I'm appreciated for my time, then it makes me feel good and it makes me more likely to want to spend more time. But when I spend time with someone and then I'm made to feel not enough in some way, um, then I wouldn't want to put more time into that because that's just not pleasant, especially for the feminine. Without getting into too specific of an example. Praise is literal food for feminine qualities. If you want your woman to grow in her radiance, health, happiness, love, beauty, power, and depth, praise these qualities. Praise them daily, a number of times. So another thing I wanted to add kind of to that point before is that the feminine is very sensitive to criticism because the feminine is all about love, whereas the masculine is all about freedom. And a big part of feeling loved is feeling accepted, and not only accepted for who you are, but appreciated for who you are. So when you're made to feel not enough through criticism, for example, then it feels like unloved, and then that kind of makes the feminine shut down, and then all these qualities like radiance and love and that all of that will dim as well. It is a difficult practice for most men to learn, but you must learn to praise the very qualities you feel are not yet praiseworthy in order for them to become so. In other words, praise the tiny quality that you want to grow. If you know that your woman would be healthier if she exercised more, don't tell her that. It will feel like an insult to her, a rejection of the way she is. Instead, tell her how sexy she is when she sweats in her leotards. Tell her how much it turns you on when she moves her body. Whatever parts of her body you really like, let her know frequently.
I'm just thinking about. I'm just not very good at this one. It's like the
Yep,
more I think about it, I'm
yep.
just like I'm awful at this. It would be so much better if I was better at it.
It would be. Like that's how you told me to get a boob job. I still remember it to this day.
That was more about the economics of it, not in particular because you needed it, but the
It
economic return on it.
doesn't matter! I'm demonstrating to the audience. But yeah, um, and it's difficult. Like even for me as a woman, I know that I love praise, but trying to give praise itself is very difficult. So I'm trying to practice more, and and it is difficult, but I can see that there will be very amazing return on this skill.
I have seen you gotten a lot better with praise. Like I remember when you were cleaning the current house, you were actually doing a good job of praising and giving appreciation and stuff like that. So I remember back, when we were first friends, that was kind of like the last thing you'd ever want to do, right?
Yep, yep, for sure. Thank you. Yeah, when we first met, I had no idea how to give any praise or encouragement, and it all felt like really like forced and condescending. Because I'll be like, "Good job!" Like, "You're looking great," but like there was no, I don't know.
We just didn't believe that there was any value in it.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, but there is so much value to it. It makes life so much better to be praised.
Yep. I can feel the difference. Praising the things you really enjoy when she exercises will magnify her exercising. On the other hand, by telling her why she should exercise, you're indicating she is not acceptable to you the way she is. Praise works, information doesn't. Praise motivates, challenge doesn't. Try it. Praise specific things you love about your woman 5 to 10 times a day. Find out what happens.
I think as a man, what would be good is to go through one of these a quarter. So let's say, like there's a specific trait that you want to praise in your woman, just focus on one. Because I think trying
Mm-hmm.
to learn how to praise everything all at once
Mm-hmm.
is very tough. I'd try to think through, it's like, what is one thing that I'd want from her, and then, that has kind of some core that I could, find to praise. Because it'd be great if you could just kind of like my friend in the sorority who just could see it and she's almost praising the future, not
Mm-hmm.
even praising today. But that's tough. It's tough
Mm-hmm.
as a guy. Like for me, I want to be very objective and see what's going on right now and basically articulate that. But I think like it'd be good to start with, just something small that you see that you kind of see a glimmer of and try to praise that and just kind of work at it piece by piece because then it could create some forward momentum. Because I think if you're just trying to be praising all the time, 24/7, you just get exhausted after a few days.
Yep.
But I think like for me specifically with the blowjob course, it was very easy because it's like, hey, this is something I really want, and I could kind of take that advice and use it and kind of think it through a lot. But it takes a lot of intention, and I'd kind of think it would take about a quarter of time, like 3 months of time, to kind of develop one of these as kind of like a more lasting skill.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of going back to your point where it's saying like how like kind of men tend to be like more objective. Like information and challenge would work for men, but that's because men are creatures of logic. But like women are creatures of feeling and emotion, and they would only want to do something if it feels good. Well, I shouldn't say only want to do something, but they're more likely to do something if it makes them, oh, their heart opens, or if I feel good. So uh, just providing her with information like this is the pros and cons of doing this, like it doesn't mean anything. It's really just like empty words.
Yeah, I see it with you a lot. It's like based on how you feel, you do a lot of crazy stuff.
Yep.
It's like if you're not feeling good, you can do nothing. But if you are feeling great, you'll basically do whatever.
Yep. Yep. If a guy can make me feel good, I can do a lot for him.
Mm-hmm.
So Which I guess is not you. Just kidding. But
I'm always
anyways,
feel it.
so just kind of close this. Let's kind of reflect this back to ourselves. I'm just curious what a specific thing I might want to grow in you be, even though you're not necessarily my woman, but I like doing this as a practice to see like what trait that I could praise you on and what's something I could say.
Mm-hmm.
What's a something that like a budding habit here that I want more of. And I don't know what you have for me, and I don't know what I have for you.
Probably that good manager thing would be because even you are right. It happens making subtle jibes at you that you haven't been doing your job.
I mean, it's not false,
Yeah,
but
but you are a great manager, and I think that it would be fully folly to for me to overlook that because it's not like I'd be doing any better job without you. I mean, it's like if it was just up to me, it'd probably be done like 10 times worse.
thank you. Ah.
And it's very great. You mean it's so nice for me to have somebody that I trust completely. Because I think that's one of the biggest fears as a business owner is like, oh, what's like the employees like what's going to happen if I'm not there? Or, how could my employees mess this up and stuff like that? And that's a big fear of me wanting to hire more people. It's like it just seems like a lot of headaches.
Mhm.
But with Stephanie, I'm never worried. You mean it's like I have like complete trust and faith that she's going to do the right thing, and that's so relaxing and relieving. And you don't feel like an employee. It's just like you just feel like an amazing friend.
Thank you. I can't think of a trait I want to keep growing in you. No, I mean like
What
there's
about my
a
belly?
hey. I try to be serious here. Oh yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, physical activity, right?
Mhm.
So I should focus because you've been doing X3 lately, and I haven't been giving you enough credit for that because I think it's really cool that you are like picking back up the exercise train, and now you're like reading a lot about health, which I appreciate a lot because I don't naturally read about health, and so when you read it and you share those ideas with me, so it's like free knowledge, which is awesome. And then you living out the example of working out regularly and
One thing I really appreciated was you at least coming and watch, like filming the first video and helping me with that first exercise. And it makes it so much easier to have somebody else there. Like for me, being a live person, it's very hard for me to do things on my own. It's like just not a whole lot of motivation there, and it kind of takes me like 2 or 3 weeks of willpower to build that up to kind of want to do it on my own. But having you there to record the first video was very nice. Yeah, and it was very appreciated.
cool. Well, I think that's a wrap. Any last comments? Well, okay, cool. Well, go forth and praise, y'all. Oops, wrong button.